We've all seen them, the overly positive people. They're the ones who always seem to have a smile on their face no matter what life throws at them. We all know how important it is to have a positive attitude, but have you ever stopped to think about how that positivity might actually be harmful? Let's talk about toxic positivity today. Hey there, welcome back to our channel. I'm happy to have you here. My name is Ava, I'm psychologist and head of content at FlowLab. And in case you haven't heard of FlowLab yet, it's a mental fitness app that helps you reach more focus, motivation and flow states with science-based meditations that you'll receive in an individualized training plan. The link to the app is in the description if you want to give it a try, together with a discount code over 50% off the yearly subscription, so go get it. People speak of toxic positivity when someone frantically tries to maintain a positive view no matter how bad the situation, up to a point where they avoid any negative aspects and feelings. While an optimistic mindset is fantastic, there's a dark side to this good vibes only culture. Don't worry, we're not here to bring you down. Quite the opposite, in fact. We're here to help you understand the dangers of being too positive and how to avoid them. And I'm sure we've all been guilty of that. So tell me in the comments where you caught yourself being toxically positive or where you noticed tendencies like these in other people. And in the meantime, let's talk about 3 ways you may be toxically positive without being aware of it. Hey, how are you doing?
To be honest, I've been quite stressed lately. My mom fell down the stairs and broke her ankle and injured her hip. So I'm taking care of her now and go there every day after work, and I feel guilty for saying this, but it's super exhausting. I know someone has to do it, but I have no time for anything else anymore, and I'm just running on fumes lately.
Come on, things will get better soon. At least she doesn't have cancer. First up, when someone is going through a tough time, it's natural to want to be there for them and offer words of encouragement. But sometimes the things we say can actually be more harmful than helpful. Imagine your friend is devastated, desperate, and you're trying to comfort them. Your intention is a good one. You want to make them feel better. So you say things like,
"Everything happens for a reason.
Chin up, keep smiling."
Or maybe you try to make them see the positive by saying,
"Others are worse off than you."
These phrases might seem innocent enough, but they can actually be quite toxic. Why? Because by telling them to put on a happy face or to get over it, you're invalidating their pain and making it harder for them to process and heal. The other may not feel taken seriously and perhaps even ashamed for feeling down, as if not being allowed to have those negative feelings in the first place. It's, as with everything, not a black or white thing. Sometimes sentences like "everything happens for a reason" or "look at the bright side of things" can help others to feel better. Different people may perceive these statements differently, and it needs empathy to evaluate whether these sentences are appropriate in a certain context with a certain person or not. It's about showing the other person that you're listening, that you're acknowledging their suffering. So even if you feel the urge to say sentences like these, take some time first to validate the other in their feelings. To do so, you could say something like, "This sounds really tough, but I'm here for you," or "This must be painful." Depending on the context, maybe you think that the situation is actually not that bad and that the other is getting stuck in pessimism for no apparent reason. Perhaps the other is complaining about having too many plans for their leisure time this week, although they could have easily avoided that, or ruminating about something that, from your perspective, isn't that bad after all. Maybe you wouldn't feel authentic, pretending to understand their pain when you don't, when you think they're exaggerating. But then the question becomes, would both of you feel better with a statement like, "just keep smiling" or "things will be alright"? These sentences end a conversation rather than giving room for discussion. And if your intention is to support your friend, even though you can't relate to what they're saying, you could still validate them in their feelings, but then confront them with how you perceive the situation. For example, say something like, "I see there's a lot going on in your mind. This must be a lot to deal with right now. But we have known each other for such a long time now, and this actually reminded me of situation XYZ, where you went through something similar. Could it be that there are feelings coming up now that don't necessarily have to do with the current situation?" Or even questions such as, what do you need? How can I support you? Can communicate that you're there for your friend without invalidating their feelings. What I'm sometimes wondering is whether there's even more to it than that. If you catch yourself saying things that we used as examples for toxic positivity now, how are you feeling? Could it be that you can't deal with it when seeing someone close to you in pain and therefore try to avoid it? Or that this reminds you of your own topics and triggers, your own painful experiences? And this discussion brings us to point number 2. Okay, let's see. The deadline is tomorrow and I already have the title of the essay. Amazing, that's great work, I'll still make it. Toxic positivity can also hold the function to protect yourself, to shield yourself from criticism, to avoid dealing with annoying problems, or to justify procrastination. Take procrastinating on your health, for example. Perhaps your dentist advised you to start flossing your teeth regularly, but you keep forgetting it, or your weaker self becomes too strong in the evening when you're tired. So you tell yourself, at least I'm conscientious with brushing my teeth, so everything will be all right. Or, I always did well without flossing, and there are so many people who keep forgetting it. It's easy to downplay the urgency when talking about long-term consequences that are hard to grasp in the here and now. But you'd probably see things differently when sitting on that chair at the dentist again, this time to repair your teeth. Yes, it's painful to realize that our actions, or in this case inaction, can lead to negative outcomes in the future. So blind optimism helps us to protect ourselves from these negative emotions, at least in the short term, and to believe what we want to believe. Or imagine there's a colleague at work who can't hold back with their snippy comments. And even though you feel your anger, you tell yourself to breathe it out, to just keep smiling and pretend nothing happened. So you brush it off with some laughter or by telling yourself to focus on the positive. We also discussed a similar situation in our video on 5 common but unknown emotional avoidance strategies. Check out the link in the info box if you want to learn more about that. Yes, in some situations it's a good idea to swallow your anger instead of making a scene in front of everyone at a big event or so. But are you sure you'll feel better in the long run if you always push these negative emotions away and deny them? Because in this example, it also means not speaking up for yourself, not taking your own needs seriously. In other contexts, it means that you'll get stuck in your personal development when you, for example, shrug off criticism or obstacles and therefore miss out on opportunities to learn and grow. So ask yourself, if I continue to behave this way or to stick to this mindset, what will be the long-term consequences? Do I consider and evaluate different facts and opinions, or do I only believe what I want to believe? Which things are really not within my control, and where can I put effort into something to achieve a more positive outcome? And which things are more urgent than I want to admit? While the more or less unconscious motivation might be to protect yourself, what you're doing when being toxically positive is the opposite. You try to fend off change, perhaps downplay your range of influence for things you actually do have control over, and stagnate in your development rather than accepting an opportunity for growth. Do you really prefer feeling a bit more relieved in the moment when at the same time risking a worse outcome in the future? Well, on the positive side of things, the sun is shining more often now. Who else is torn between the urge to get active and maximal pessimism when following the news and societal crises? When being confronted with the biggest challenges humankind is facing, global warming, natural disasters, war, it's easy to get lost in the feeling of overwhelm. And you don't need to have a psychology degree to see that pushing this overwhelm away is just a protection strategy. As with any context we've discussed today, it's a balancing act. Reminding yourself what we have accomplished as a society and what is going well is certainly important to maintain hope and motivation, to have the feeling that our efforts matter, that we have an impact, that we have some control. But then the extreme can become toxic again. Stubborn positivity that downplays the facts or blocks out the things we have control over can be very harmful. Because as Wilson concludes in his paper, optimism, far from spurring climate change action, fosters inaction. Being inactive and getting stuck in your own personal development is one thing, but becoming inactive in this context affects the entire world. And it's an interesting discussion whether a single person can actually change something, especially when we talk about structural changes. Maybe Greta Thunberg wondered the same thing. And maybe it's not about becoming the next Greta, but many of us underestimate how even small changes, small actions, conversations raise awareness and have a snowball effect, because the people around you might adapt their behavior too. Talk to their friends who again become more aware of these topics and so on. So what can we conclude? Well, first of all, it's a balancing act. You don't have to ban certain statements for good because the context and the relationship to the other person also influence whether something is perceived as toxic or not. So I don't want to tell you to never say these things again. In fact, I believe these generalizations, never, always, everything, and so on, contribute to the toxicity, because we need a more nuanced view on things. Rather than saying never give up, evaluate whether this project aligns with your values, brings you joy or closer to a certain goal. And if not, then it may be actually a good idea to give up and drop it. Rather than saying always keep smiling, listen in and explore how you're actually feeling. Advocate for authenticity. Maybe the key is not to be positive, but to be empathetic, to be attentive, to care for others, for society, and for yourself. To find an appreciative communication and to keep one's own or the common goal in mind respectively. And finally, there is a difference between optimism and toxic positivity. A positive mindset doesn't mean that we should always be happy. It means we are remaining optimistic, hopeful, motivated despite challenges, problems, and negativity. That we use optimism and our strengths and resources to grow from obstacles, failures, and wounds. Let me know which experiences you made with toxic positivity in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If so, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the Flow Lab channel for more videos on psychology, mental fitness, and flow states. Have a great day and see you soon.